Knowing exactly when and how to prune your bonsai trees can be one of the biggest challenges to anyone new to the hobby of bonsai. So to learn all the secrets, keep watching this video. Hello and welcome to the Bonsai Garden, and today I'm going to cover the tricky and difficult subject of when and how to prune your bonsai trees. The cultivation and development of trees, whether in their natural environment or as a bonsai specimen, requires careful consideration and intervention. A crucial decision that tree enthusiasts face is whether to prune or allow a tree to grow, depending on its stage of development, refinement requirements, energy redistribution needs, or the desire to redesign its shape. This video explores the factors that influence the decision to prune or grow a tree, emphasizing the significance of balance and harmony in achieving the desired aesthetic and overall health of the tree. Young trees. In the early stages of a tree's development, the emphasis is often on promoting growth and establishing a robust framework. Pruning is usually minimal, focusing on removing damaged or crossing branches and shaping the tree's basic structure. Allowing the tree to grow vigorously during this stage ensures a solid foundation for future refinement. The tree I have here is a young cherry tree, and you can see that I've just left that to grow unrestricted. And the reasoning for that is that because it's quite a young tree, it's really a pre-bonsai tree, so it's not really a bonsai tree yet, but it will be in future. And the emphasis here is on developing a thicker trunk. And in order to do that, I need as much foliage driving as much energy into that trunk as possible. So by leaving these to grow, I'm generating as much energy into that trunk and will develop a thicker trunk in a faster period of time. It's a similar story with this blackthorn that I have here. The emphasis is on developing the trunk and getting that as thick and gnarly as possible first. And so I'm leaving the branching and the leaves on there, the new shoots, to develop and give me as much foliage, driving as much energy back down into that trunk as possible. In terms of ramification and development of the foliage, that's a secondary consideration, and it's a job for a future date once this trunk is at a stage that I want it to be at. Intermediate trees. As trees mature and enter the intermediate stage, they start to exhibit more defined characteristics and may require pruning to refine their shape. This stage involves selectively removing branches to enhance the tree's overall structure, encourage ramification, and balance energy distribution. Careful pruning helps to promote better branch development, encourages backbudding, and maintains the desired shape and size of the tree. This hawthorn is a good example of a tree on which I've started developing ramification. The problem is that the trunk wasn't really developed at that point, and the ramification process started too early. And the result is that although it's got quite a twiggy canopy, the trunk is still quite slender. And so this is really an example of a tree on which the ramification process started too soon. Advanced trees. Advanced or mature trees have reached a stage where significant structural development has occurred. Pruning at this stage aims to maintain the tree's shape, improve ramification, and rejuvenate the tree's vigour. While pruning remains important, it is done with caution, as excessive removal of branches may disrupt the tree's natural balance and compromise its health. It's vital to strike a balance between preserving the tree's established character and stimulating new growth. This tree is my Heron's crabapple, and it's probably the most mature of the trees in my collection. It's already got quite a thick, gnarly developed trunk, and I'm quite happy with the branching and the ramification on there. So it's the most refined of the trees in my collection, and therefore I'm not looking to develop and make this tree any bigger. And as a result of that, all I'm doing in terms of pruning is just really pruning off any new growth and trying to maintain the profile of the tree. Similarly, this lovely little Japanese maple Dishojo is a tree that I consider to be a quality, refined bonsai tree, and as such I'm not looking to grow that any bigger, and I'm quite happy with the branching and ramification on that. And so now it's just about pinching out and pruning some of the growing tips just to keep the profile of the tree. For young trees like these, the emphasis is on growing and thickening up the trunk. The branching is a secondary consideration and can be regrown at a later stage over a couple of seasons, but the main thing is to have a sturdy trunk on there. And in order to do that, we need as much foliage to generate as much energy into the trunks as possible. The leaves are quite literally solar panels, which are drawing energy into the tree. And the more growth and the more leaves we have on there, the more energy will be directed down into the trunk, and the more growth will be within the tree. So for such young trees, the emphasis is on growth, and as much growth as possible, and as quickly as possible. Leaving the trees unpruned and left to grow for the season means there's as much foliar mass on there as possible to generate as much energy as possible. The use of sacrificial branches is one of the key techniques used in bonsai cultivation to develop thicker trunks. The trunk serves as the backbone of a bonsai tree, and its thickness is a crucial aspect of aesthetic appeal. A thicker trunk imparts a sense of age, strength and natural beauty to the bonsai, embodying the characteristics of a mature tree. It conveys a sense of stability and solidity, which is highly desirable in creating a visually captivating bonsai tree. Sacrificial branches are auxiliary branches deliberately allowed to grow in a bonsai tree with the purpose of aiding trunk thickening. These branches serve as conduits for diverting vital resources, such as nutrients and sap, into the trunk. By channeling these resources into the trunk, sacrificial branches promote accelerated growth, resulting in a thicker and more visually appealing trunk over time. To implement the technique of sacrificial branches effectively, a bonsai practitioner must consider several key factors. First, selecting an appropriate branch is crucial. Typically, a vigorous, vertical branch that emerges near the base of the trunk is chosen as the sacrificial branch. This branch should have an adequate space to grow without obstructing the overall bonsai design. Once identified, the sacrificial branch is allowed to grow freely for an extended period, usually several seasons. The use of sacrificial branches offers several benefits in the pursuit of developing thicker trunks in bonsai trees. Firstly, it promotes trunk taper, where the trunk gradually narrows from its base to the apex, creating a more natural and visually appealing form. Additionally, the accelerated growth induced by sacrificial branches reduces the time required to achieve the desired trunk thickness, particularly in species that naturally possess slower growth rates. This little tree is a Japanese black pine that I bought from a sales group on Facebook. And you can see it's got quite a nice craggy trunk in there. But in order to develop that and make that as thick as possible and as appealing as possible, I'm using this sacrificial branch, and I'm going to leave that to grow unrestrained. And the idea is that this will generate as much foliage as possible, and that foliage then is driving energy into the tree and thickening up the tree at the base there. And once I'm happy that that trunk is at an appropriate thickness, I can then remove all or part of this branch and develop the tree going forward. So this branch is entirely a sacrificial branch. Its purpose is only to drive and create as much energy into the tree as possible to help fatten that up. For bonsai trees in development and refinement, here is a list of the types of branches typically removed in bonsai pruning to improve the visual elegance of the tree and to avoid future issues. Dead branches. Any branches that are dead or devoid of foliage are removed to maintain the health and appearance of the bonsai tree. Weak branches. Branches that are weak or have insufficient vigor are usually pruned to redirect the tree's energy towards the stronger growth and overall health. Branches growing in the inside of curves or crotch growth. These branches grow towards the interior bends or crotches of the tree's trunk or main branches. They can disrupt the desired shape and create clutter. Removing them helps maintain an open and well-defined structure. Crossing branches. Branches that intersect or cross each other can cause rubbing damage and hinder the overall aesthetic of the tree. Removing crossing branches helps create a more visually pleasing and balanced silhouette. Bar branches. Bar branches are straight branches that grow in the same level on either side of the trunk, creating a bike handlebar-like appearance. One or other of the branches is usually pruned. Ladder or step branches. These are large branches that extend horizontally from the trunk, one above the other, resembling steps or a ladder. They can disrupt the visual flow and balance of the bonsai. Branches growing straight up. Vertical or upward growing branches can look unnatural and disrupt the natural form and balance of the bonsai. Pruning these branches helps maintain a more desirable and visually appealing structure. Branches growing straight down. Similarly, branches that grow directly downwards can look unnatural and detract from the desired shape and overall aesthetic of the bonsai tree. Pruning downward growing branches helps create a more balanced and visually pleasing appearance. Branches growing back towards the trunk. Branches that grow inwards or towards the trunk create clutter and can obscure the desired structure of the bonsai. Removing such branches helps maintain an open and well-defined silhouette. Whorls of branches. Where several branches emerge from the trunk at the same point or level, these can lead to a swelling in the trunk at that point, causing inverse taper, where the trunk is unnaturally wider than the trunk below it. It's usual to reduce the number of branches at this point to avoid inverse taper. Remember that the specific pruning techniques and branch selection may vary based on the species of the tree, the desired bonsai style, and the individual design preferences. Regular pruning and observation are essential to maintain the health, shape, and aesthetics of a bonsai tree. Auxin hormone plays a crucial role in plant growth and development. It regulates various physiological processes, including cell elongation. Auxin is involved in growth regulation, influencing processes such as lateral branching. It inhibits lateral bud growth near the apical meristem, promoting apical dominance. But when auxin levels decrease, lateral buds can grow and branch. Understanding auxin's role helps explain plant development and has implications for bonsai pruning and management. Apical growth refers to the elongation of shoots and roots from the apical meristem, or tips of branches, which is the primary growth point of a plant. It's responsible for the upward growth of the main stem and downward growth of the primary root. Apical growth is regulated by various factors, including the hormone auxin. To promote ramification and backbudding in plants, a technique called trimming or pinching apical buds is often employed. Trimming the apical bud involves removing or pruning the dominant shoot tip, which encourages the growth of lateral branches and simulates the development of new buds along the main stem or branches. By removing the apical bud, the dominance of auxin is reduced, leading to a redistribution of auxin downwards to the lateral buds. This redistribution triggers the growth of these previously dormant buds, resulting in the formation of new branches and increased branching density. Trimming apical buds is a common practice in horticulture and bonsai cultivation to shape and enhance the aesthetics of plants. It allows for the development of a more compact and bushier growth habit, promoting a fuller and more balanced appearance. Before I continue, I just need for you to hit the like button to show your appreciation. And if you're interested in learning more about how I grow my bonsai, then subscribe to be notified of future videos. Thanks. One of the most crucial techniques is directional pruning. By understanding the principles and methods of directional pruning, bonsai enthusiasts can sculpt nature's essence into remarkable living artworks. Here I explore the significance of directional pruning in bonsai development, its objectives, techniques, and the impact it has on the tree's growth and overall appearance. The primary objective is to shape the tree's growth by selectively removing specific branches and foliage. Through strategic pruning, bonsai practitioners create a sense of harmony, balance, and proportion in the tree's overall design. Pruning allows the artist to guide the tree's branch structure, determining the placement and distribution of branches throughout the tree. This technique involves carefully choosing which branches to remove or retain based on their position, size, direction, and overall contribution to the tree's desired shape. It requires a keen eye for aesthetics and a deep understanding of the tree's growth patterns. By removing specific branches, the artist can influence the tree's overall structure and silhouette. This tree is a beech, and it's a great example to use to demonstrate directional pruning because of its naturally zigzaggy growth pattern with alternating leaves. So at the base of each of these leaves is a dormant bud, and what's causing those to remain dormant is the auxin in the growing tip of the branch there. And what will happen is if I trim the branch at that point, that bud will be activated and the branch will continue to grow out in this direction. However, if I was to cut the branch at that point, the bud at the base of this leaf will be activated and the branch will instead grow out in this direction. So by choosing at which spot I'm going to trim this new growth, that will determine where the future growth of that branch will go. So similarly on this branch here, if I was to prune the branch at that point, it will continue to grow out in this direction, whereas if I prune the branch just above that point, the bud at the tip of that leaf will be activated and the new growth will come out in this direction. And so in that way I can control the future direction and growth of the tree and use directional pruning to help shape that. Pinching involves the removal of terminal buds or shoots to encourage the growth of secondary buds along the branch. This technique helps create a more refined and intricate branch structure, promoting a sense of age and maturity in the bonsai tree. By removing the apical bud, the dominance of auxin is reduced, leading to a redistribution of auxin downwards to the lateral buds. This redistribution triggers the growth of these previously dormant buds, resulting in the formation of new branches and increased branching density. Pruning can be used to redistribute the tree's energy by selectively removing or reducing vigorous branches or shoots that compete for resources. By redirecting the tree's energy towards weaker areas such as lagging branches or areas requiring more development, a better balance and uniform growth can be achieved. Energy redistribution pruning ensures the tree's overall health and prevents one part from dominating the tree's growth. And this katsura is an example of a tree where I removed some of the branches on one side to reduce the amount of foliage and energy and rebalance the tree. And by doing so I was able to give it a more pleasing profile. It took a couple of seasons for the branches to grow back where I'd removed them. But there was quite a heavy branch on one side, and by cutting that right back and then allowing that to regrow, I achieved the desired result of rebalancing the energy of the tree. Refinement pruning is often necessary to enhance the aesthetic appeal of a tree. It involves the careful removal of unwanted branches, shoots or foliage to create a more refined silhouette and promote finer branch ramification. Refinement pruning can transform a tree by imparting a sense of age, grace and balance. The decision to prune or allow growth should be approached with a sense of balance and moderation. Pruning is essential for shaping, refining and maintaining the health of a tree. However, excessive pruning can weaken the tree or disrupt its natural growth pattern. Similarly, uncontrolled growth can lead to a lack of structure, imbalance and overcrowding. It's crucial to understand the specific needs of the tree at each stage of its development, considering factors such as species, growth patterns, desired aesthetics and overall health. Regular evaluation and a deep understanding of the tree's unique characteristics will guide the decision to prune or encourage growth, ensuring a harmonious balance between shaping and nurturing. I hope you found that useful or interesting. If so, then please hit the like button and consider subscribing to be notified of future videos. Thank you.